Here's what a defeat feels like. This is not a military operation. This is not a campaign across a distant land. The river smells of iron and coal smoke. Snow clings to broken trams and the gutted facades of factories. The name of the city is a whisper on every soldier's lips. That morning, Lieutenant Alexei Morozov checks the list of men under his command and then folds the photograph he has kept since summer of a woman smiling by a garden gate, a child tucked in the crook of her arm. He tucks the photo into his breast pocket and steps into the gray that feels older than the winter itself. He finds Petka by a broken barricade, hands hanging loose. "Ready," Petka says, voice flat, eyes glazed. Alexei nods. Here, there is no ceremony of flags or bugles. His men are ghosts in the mist, teeth chattering, rifles clutched tight. What follows is not a campaign drawn on a distant map but the immediate, bone-deep collision of bodies and wills. The counter-offensive begins with a single, terrible logic: push, hold, and let no one behind you fall. All sound seems to come from within his own chest, the snap of boots on brittle earth, the thump of a heart trying to beat its way free. Artillery shakes the ground like strikes on the world's ribs. A shell explodes too close and for a heartbeat, Alexei sees the inside of his skull turn to water. He tastes blood. He moves forward. The street that was once called Red Market has become a corridor of gunfire and shouted names. Buildings are hollowed shells that breathe smoke. Every doorway is either refuge or trap. Petrov goes down, hidden in a shadow. Alexei sees the sudden bloom of red. One of the buildings coughs up a puff of black smoke and someone screams, "Sniper!" In this city, victory is not measured in miles or hours or anything except the stubborn fact of a man's breath. The squad moves like a single organism, muscle and sinew and quickened pulse. There's Petrov, who hums a lullaby under his breath to keep his hands steady. Marina, one of the few medics left in the regiment, whose calm is a shelter, and Misha, a young recruit who still laughs at bad jokes as if laughter can make the cold thinner. They advance in short, measured bounds, each step negotiated between the scream of shells and the lighter, sharper snaps of rifles. Direct clashes erupt in alleys and courtyards. A farmer's house reduced to splinters becomes the scene of hand-to-hand scraps where breath fogs and fists land like prayers. Here, war is not an abstraction on a map. It is the taste of blood and the feel of cold steel. The sniper picks off Katerina, who collapses holding her arm above her head like a flag of surrender. Alexei sees the disbelief on her face, the way she looks at the sky as if asking a question without getting an answer. Time slows. Petrov drops to his knees and crawls to cover. Alexei feels the icy hand of orders squeezing his gut. He knows that the only option now is to press forward. The squad fights its way to a broken intersection, a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered stone. On the far side, through a hole in the wall, they see the butts of rifles and hear the sharp crack of commands. For a moment, time narrows to the distance between Alexei's lowered rifle and the muzzle flashes. Petrov goes down first, a clean, sudden bloom of red. The world tilts. Alexei feels the weight of command as if it were a physical thing, heavy and cold. There is no space for the luxury of grief. He moves. He barks an order. The sniper is still out there. And somewhere, a distant artillery tries to answer a forgotten prayer. They scramble through a slit in a collapsed wall while bullets debate their names on the other side. Marina, with numb fingers and a voice the way a lighthouse keeps a steady burn, patches to men at once with the same strip of cloth, one on his thigh, one on his arm, whispering, "Hold. Breathe. Remember." She moves like someone who has promised herself she will not let anyone slip into silence on her watch. Misha, whose hands tremble with fear, finds a rhythm in passing ammo and steadying the wounded. He presses his forehead against the cool steel of a wall and swallows the urge to run. When the machine gun ceases, at last, it is because Misha has climbed a ruined balcony and, with a single, desperate sprint, lobs a grenade that rolls and breathes and changes the map of that intersection. In the sudden hush, a miracle is a man with a hand raised in surrender and another stumbling out with a white rag tied to his bayonet. Here, Victory is a ghost that appears between battles. Relief is a word spoken aloud and believed. But the specter of loss lingers on the wind. As the days pass, the river grows wider, the houses grow closer, and the rifles get heavier. Exhaustion is a new enemy. Surrender is a whisper in the smoke. Each day, the soldiers step over names they cannot read. They navigate by landmarks that no longer exist. They sleep on stretchers in rooms where memories are trapped. As the cold bites deeper, there are fewer cigarettes, fewer stories, fewer reasons to wake. This is what defeat feels like, the slow drain of hope and the relentless pressure of survival. Winter in Stalingrad is a knife that slices the soul. Hunger is a constant guest. Fatigue is a twin that walks beside them. They exist in a bubble of cold, oil smoke and shouting, where outside news of the war is a rumor on the wind. For Alexei and his men, Stalingrad is all there is. It's the shovel in his hand and the bite of frost on his cheeks, the whiskey that burns like betrayal on his tongue, and the letter he traces with his fingertips every night before sleep. The snow is falling now, and the city is a tomb of ice. They fought for every inch of this ground. Somewhere beyond this place, on a distant map, they may be winning. But here, in this moment, in this gutted city, they have not won. The battle is not finished. The casualties have names and faces and stories written in their eyes. He thinks of the child with the red balloon, the dog who watches them pass, the old woman who stands in a doorway with nothing but a cat and a cough. Everything has been consumed by the gears of war. Hope is not a luxury here. It is earned, rationed, hoarded like candle wax. Nisha, huddled by a dying fire, stares at the flames and says, "We haven't lost, have we?" Alexei doesn't know how to answer that question. The attack comes as a blizzard, and the defenders are ghosts beneath the whirling snow. Shells explode like cannon fire from a forgotten war. And the men fight as if for a piece of their own skin. The fight is ugly, a dance of desperation and need, where retreat means exposure and surrender means death. The men dig into the frozen ground with the ferocity of animals protecting their young. Every room, every basement, every shell crater becomes a battlefield of its own. Men collapse, buried in the snow, and their names freeze on the wind. For a time, the fighting is hand to hand, and the victors will be those who do not flinch first. They fight as if there is nothing else to do, as if there is nowhere left to go, as if the only alternative is the silence of oblivion. And then they find the old woman who lives in the ruins of a pharmacy. Her hands are gnarled like roots, her eyes hollow as a winter sky. She tells them a story of life before the bombs, a story of children playing in the streets, a story of spring. Her story ends with a sob, and she holds out a worn photograph, a picture of a daughter who will never come back. Alexei takes the picture and promises to return it to her, though he knows that he may not survive to see her again. The war is not just outside the walls of the city. It is in the way a woman clutches a photograph and whispers a prayer. It is in the way a young boy hides his face behind his mother's skirt. It is in the way a man looks at the sky and asks, "Why?" Victory is a ghost in the machine gun fire, a whisper in the blizzard, a memory in the bombed-out halls of the city. The men stand shoulder to shoulder, exhausted, defeated, yet strangely at peace. Their faces are streaked with grime, their eyes hollow with fatigue, their hands calloused and worn. They are ghosts in the ruins of a city, clinging to life and each other, waiting for the dawn to break over a landscape of ashes. In the end, when the snow falls and the world grows quiet, the men are all that is left. They are the living monuments to a city that is gone. They are the ones who remember. They are the ones who carry the burden of remembrance. And as the wind whispers through the ruins, they wonder if anyone will remember them. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe to keep these stories alive. Also check out the playlist for more powerful historical tales.